My child, listen closely. There is movement around your name in places where you cannot stand. A decision is being discussed on the other side of a door you do not have a key for. A panel is weighing options with documents you were not allowed to see. A supervisor is skimming a list with your future attached to a line item. Someone you have written to is quiet like a courtroom, silent like a verdict waiting to be read. You feel the tension in your chest because your voice cannot reach those tables, those inboxes, those closed rooms where outcomes are formed and signed. You feel powerless because your explanations cannot climb their staircases. Your sincerity cannot pass their security. Your calls are not returning the way your hope expected them to. Hear me. You cannot reach it, but my favor can. Distance is not denial. Limitation is not disqualification. Closed doors are not closed to me. I am not intimidated by locks, badges, procedures, processes, or the choreography of a system that feels larger than you. Your reach is limited, but mine is not. Your words may sit unread, but my favor does not wait in an inbox. It moves. It goes where I send it. It speaks where I direct it to speak. I see the weight that bureaucracy has put on you, the forms that asked for what you already gave, the portals that demanded another upload, the hold music that swallowed an hour you did not have, the ticket number that promised place in a line that never seems to move, the automated reply that said, "We will get back to you," with no calendar attached to it. I see you opening an email to find nothing new, watching the spinning wheel, checking a tracking number, refreshing a page with a heartbeat that speeds up each time. I see how small it can make a person feel, how nameless, how replaceable, how like a file in a stack where no one knows that your file is your life. I will not offer you vague comfort. I am not speaking to you in poetry that avoids reality. I am speaking with specificity about your story. This is a targeted reassurance for your situation. I am already acting where you feel shut out. I am seated in conversations you cannot attend. I am present and not silent. I am guiding a thought here, highlighting a detail there, softening a stance, interrupting a bias, bending timelines toward the date I have chosen. I am entering rooms you were not invited to, and my favor is not a suggestion, it is an advocacy, steady, honest, and effective, without manipulation, without flattery, without asking you to become someone you are not. Arriving. Hear that word over your life right now. Arriving. Not approaching in a way that can be derailed. Not still being assembled in some far-off warehouse of hope. Arriving with intentionality and with the unstoppable momentum of my love toward the exact places where your name is under review. Arriving at that desk. Arriving in that meeting. Arriving in that heart that has been closed toward you. Arriving in that process that felt frozen. Arriving in your home, in your calendar, in your phone calls, in the yes you have not heard yet. It is in motion. It is real. You have tried to be your own negotiator, your own publicist, your own defense. You have rehearsed what you would say if they gave you 5 minutes. You have edited and revised and reworded. Careful, 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 trying to make your life small enough to fit into their form fields. You have felt the warning of intimidation, the picture that says you are too late, too little, too unconnected. My child, that fear is a lie. I am not threatened by what you cannot control. I am Lord over what you cannot access. Here is what I want you to know at the outset. You will not have to beg for what I have assigned to you. I do not ask you to chase doors that I intend to open. I do not instruct you to win the favor of people I intend to move by mine. Remain available, yes. Remain honorable, yes. But the frantic pace that has taken your breath, the anxiety that has made you scroll and scan and refresh, like it is a form of prayer, set that down. Before this message ends, I will show you what to stop carrying, what to stop chasing, how to pray with clarity instead of panic, and what signs will appear as confirmation that my favor is already at work beyond your reach. Do not confuse this with passivity. I am not asking you to disappear. I am teaching you how to stand in a posture that receives. There is a difference between trying to move every lever by your own strength and standing where my wind can fill your sails. I will tell you how to turn your face toward me so that when I breathe, you move without forcing it, without making yourself small for approval or loud for attention. I will teach you to listen for the quiet rerouting that I am already working for your good. I know you are tired. I know what it has cost you to remain hopeful when replies do not come. I know the calculations you run at night with numbers that have actual values in them. I know the sleep that was shallow, the way your appetite shifted when the pressure pressed, the way you answered people's questions with crafted sentences because the truth felt too heavy to hand them. I have been with you in all of it. I took in every unreturned call. I saw every message you typed and deleted because you did not want to seem desperate. Not one moment evaporated into the air. It registered. It cost you something. And still, hear me. The outcome of your life is not trapped behind their badge reader. I am your advocate. I tilt the scales toward mercy. I make room at tables that did not have a seat with your name on it, and I do it without diminishing you, without trading your dignity, without requiring you to play a part that wounds your soul. I can reverse a no without you performing for it. I can create a yes that does not contradict truth. I can make the line move. I can open the inbox. I can bring a voice to your file that says, look again, a second glance that sees what was missed, a fresh appraisal not driven by habit but by my hand. Breathe now. Let the tightness ease. You are not invisible to me. Your story is not a footnote in a system. Your reach is limited, but my favor is not. Even now, I am speaking for you where you cannot speak. Even now, I am carrying your name without dropping it. Stay with me to the end of this message. I will tell you what to put down, what to stop chasing, what to say when you pray so that your heart comes into alignment, and how to recognize the fingerprints I will leave in ordinary moments to show you that what I promised is already arriving. My child, come closer. Let me speak to the you I formed before any of this tried to rename you, not the version that has been thinned out by waiting, not the version that now flinches when the phone lights up because your chest tightens before your eyes even read the screen. Not the version that learned to shrink your words so they would seem appropriate to people who do not carry your story. Not the version shaped by rejection emails that arrived like sudden weather, by silence that said nothing but felt like a verdict, by people who refused to explain themselves and pretended that withholding clarity was wisdom. Not that version. I want to speak to the real you. The real you does not live at the mercy of subject lines. The real you is not measured by the response time of a stranger. The real you is not defined by the tone of a meeting you were not invited to, or by the checkboxes of a portal that keeps asking for what you have already given. I see the habits you formed to survive this, the way you reread messages and scan for meaning in their punctuation, the way you rehearse conversations you never get to have, practicing grace and clarity in the shower, in the car, in the grocery aisle, the way you run nighttime calculations with numbers that have actual values in them, sliding columns left and right in your mind until fatigue wins for an hour and then releases you back to the same equation. I see the energy it takes to decide whether to send another note or to wait again. I see the tightening of your stomach when an unknown number calls and you answer as if tiptoeing into a dark room, whispering hope to your own heart. I see you finding yourself reading the same sentence 3 times because your mind is trying to protect you from expecting too much. All of this I have watched with compassion. I have sat with you in the doorway of each long day. But hear me now. You are not the applicant. You are not the case. You are not the file, the request, or the number assigned to a queue. They may use those words. I will not. I do not call you by a ticket number. I do not sort you by category. I know your name. I spoke your name before the foundations of this chapter. I formed your inner life with intricacy, not mass production. I etched purpose into you that cannot be dissolved by a season of delay. I still speak your name with authority. That identity stands when processes shake. Who you are is not what this has reduced you to. You are my child. I am not asking you to deny what this season has done to your nervous system. The quickened heartbeat, the jump at the sound of the notification, the fragments of sentences you start and then backspace because you fear sounding needy. I will not pretend otherwise, but I refuse to let the wear of it become your name. Wear is a symptom of a battle. It is not the verdict over your being. Your tenderness is not a weakness. It is the evidence that your heart remained open while pressure tried to make it hard. Your cautious hope is not naivete. It is wisdom under weight. Let me say this with honor. Your repeated attempts were not foolish. Those emails, those follow-ups, those carefully crafted explanations, the showings up you did when it would have been easier to hide, those were acts of faith under pressure. They were not begging performances. They were obedience to the light you had for that day. You did not fail by trying. You did not embarrass yourself by hoping. You sowed courage in small, costly measures. I count those choices. I honor them. I have received them. There is a lie that tries to stand behind you and whisper that you have been reduced to chasing approval, that perhaps your worth is negotiated every time you press send, that maybe if you had presented yourself more strategically, if you had sounded more confident, more deferential, more something, this would be different. That fear is a lie. I am not building your future on your ability to craft the perfect appeal. My advocacy is not a transaction. I am your father, not a broker. Favor is not a wage you earn by performing without error. Favor flows from covenant love, my love, that chose you before your efforts and holds you when your efforts feel spent. Listen to me. I am not grading you. I am guiding you. I am not waiting to see if you convince the right person. I am speaking in rooms you cannot enter because you belong to me. Adoption in my family is irrevocable. You do not move in and out of favor like weather. What I am doing for you does not pivot on a single missed phrase or a misunderstood tone. Your identity is not fragile. It is rooted in me, and I do not shake. So breathe now. Sit up in the dignity I have given you. The label that fatigue tried to hang on your chest, the one waiting, the one passed over, the one always almost there, I remove it. I place my hand on your head, and I bless the real you, the one I formed before this fight, the one whose capacity has been enlarging even when it felt like shrinking, the one who tells the truth kindly, who carries integrity into rooms even when the room does not know how to receive it yet. You have not been disqualified by feeling tired. You have not been demoted by slow timelines. You have been preserved. Let me reframe the soundtrack of your days. When the phone lights, I want your first association to be me, not dread. When silence stretches, I want your reflex to be companionship with me, not abandonment narratives. When you catch yourself rehearsing the conversation you might never have, hand the rehearsal to me and let me speak it better than you could. When you reread the message searching for meaning in one word, let me anchor you to meanings I already declared over you. Chosen, seen, held, sent. You will not need to contort yourself for outcomes. I am not writing you into a part that requires your soul to wear a costume. I am restoring your voice to its original register, clear, honest, humble without erasing yourself, strong without hardness. Even now, identity is arriving not as a slogan, but as a settled knowing that steadies your lungs and slows your thoughts, that lets you answer emails without fear that your whole future hangs on a comma, that lets you walk into an ordinary day without the atmosphere of panic that has tried to be your shadow, arriving at your posture, arriving in your eyes, arriving in the way you translate delays, arriving with the unstoppable momentum of my love into the core of who you are. And hear this one more time so it sinks. I still speak your name with authority. In places where your full story has not been represented, I speak it. In places where your goodness was misread as naivete, I speak it. In places where your boundaries were called stubbornness, I speak the truth of your integrity. But I am not only speaking about you out there, I am speaking to you in here. I call forth the real you. Stand in who you are to me. Let the worn-down version exhale and step aside. Come back to the center of my covenant with you, to the table that is always set for you, to the love that is not contingent on a status update. My child, you are mine. This is the anchor under the storm, the sentence that will not change when forms do, the verdict that holds when timelines slide. Walk with me in that name. Let this identity do its work. As you do, watch how peace replaces panic, how your presence returns to your own body, how courage that is not loud but steady begins to carry you. Then, when favor lands, and it will, you will be ready to receive it as a child at home, not as a stranger begging at the door. My child, I will not skip past the cost. I will not rush to the triumph without sitting with you inside what it asked of you. I saw the doors that did not swing open when you stood before them with your best evidence in your hands. I saw you pulling together files and dates and references, assembling the story with care, only to be met by a reply that sounded polite but was hollow, or by no reply at all. I saw the meeting delayed, then rescheduled, then quietly dropped as if your time had no weight. I saw you rehearsing explanations so that when someone finally gave you a window, you would not waste it, and then being asked to repeat yourself to new faces who had already decided you were a problem to be managed rather than a person to be honored. I saw the quiet humiliations that you could not tell anyone about because they sounded small when spoken, but they did not feel small when they happened. Standing in a lobby while others were ushered past you, being told, "We'll circle back," in a room where people smirked in a language of glances, receiving a "just checking in" message that masked a dismissal, hearing your name referenced without your presence in a way that reduced your story to an inconvenience. I saw you lower your voice to sound safe. I saw you heighten your cheerfulness to make yourself less threatening. I saw the way you crafted emails with surgical precision so you could not be accused of tone, then watched as your restraint was ignored and a caricature was believed instead of the real you. It was a cost. It touched your confidence. It brushed your face with shame that did not belong to you. And I will not pretend otherwise. I saw the strain on relationships as this dragged on. The way your patience thinned, not because you loved less, but because your reserve was being siphoned by uncertainty. The evening you snapped at someone you cherish, then apologized before the sentence was finished, and still lay awake replaying it. The way you turned down a simple invitation because your mind was too crowded to be present. The week you said, "Let's not make plans yet. I need to know what happens first." And what happens moved like fog and stole another weekend. The way laughter felt far away for a while. The conversation at the table where you could not explain why you were so tired of explaining. I saw the look in a child's eyes that asked a question you answered with bravery while your stomach tightened in private. I saw the friend who tried to help but gave advice that felt like a mirror held at the wrong angle. I saw the isolation that came not from being alone in a room, but from feeling misunderstood in company. I saw the exhaustion of performing for people who had already decided who you were. The requests for one more thing that slid into one more thing again. The shifting requirements that moved the goal line after you crossed it. The portal that asked for the document you had already uploaded, then erased the evidence of it. The phrase, "we never received it," when you had 3 confirmations. The miscommunication that never landed on their side but always seemed to cost you time, money, energy, favor. The bias you could feel in your bones but could not splice into a sentence without someone calling you dramatic. The small mistakes of others that were forgiven instantly, and your smallest misstep that was amplified as if it defined you. The delayed refund. The misplaced form. The policy suddenly applied to you and not to them. The unintentional oversight that somehow always cut in the same direction. I saw it. I am not gaslighting you. You were not imagining the pattern. Let me say this plainly so your mind can rest. You have been met by silent opposition, not the kind that announces itself with a battle cry, but the kind that wears you down through indecision, that makes you feel like a nuisance for asking for what is just, that confuses you with maybe until you begin to mistrust your own discernment. What felt random has been a battlefield. The uncertainty has been a tactic. The enemy cannot unmake what I have spoken, so he tries to exhaust you into forfeiting, to divide your heart from your hope, to have you name yourself by this chapter's delays, so that you will stop contending as the person I say you are. That fear that whispers, maybe you misheard, maybe you are too much, maybe you should shrink to fit the room. That fear is a lie. I will not allow confusion to wear the costume of wisdom and stand as your counselor. I am your counselor. I give clarity. I give peace that does not require your environment to be perfect before it settles upon you. I have been with you in the hallway where you waited. I stood with you when you straightened your back and walked into an office that felt colder than it needed to be. I was present in the car when the call ended and you stared at the dashboard because you did not trust your face yet. I listened when your prayer was one word and your breath did not reach the bottom of your lungs. I received the whispered help. I caught the sigh that did not form into sentences. I counted the tears that did not fall because you had to hold yourself together for the next thing. I saw the messages you typed and deleted because you were guarding your own dignity. I have a record, not for accusation, not to weigh you down with it, but for honor, for redemption, for restoration. Those prayers did not fail to count. I count them. I honor them. I receive them. When you felt foolish for asking again, I wrote the asking down as courage. When you woke at night and said, "Lord, I need you," with a voice barely more than breath, I did not grade your grammar. I gathered your groan. When you blessed others while your own answer was delayed, I called it generosity planted in dry ground. I did not miss a single intercession you offered in the shower, in the hallway, at the sink, between meetings, beneath your breath as you walked from one room to the next. Nothing evaporated into the air. It registered. It mattered to me. Hear me also in this. I am not the author of injustice. I did not write the pages where you were misread, minimized, or mishandled, but I am the Redeemer who refuses to waste any line. I have been guarding your core while the surface was contested. I have been building in you a strength that does not perform for approval, a clarity that will not barter truth for access, a tenderness that remains open without being gullible. The dark tried to make you hard. I have kept you soft and strong at the same time. This season has been construction inside you, even when the outside looked like demolition. And while the opposition tried to narrate randomness over your days, I have been weaving coherence under it. You have asked me, Why is it so difficult to get a simple yes? Because, my child, the yes attached to your name is not simple. It is strategic. It will seat you in places where your voice will soften atmospheres, where your integrity will stabilize processes, where your presence will open doors for others, not just for you. The resistance broadcast a false story, that you were asking for too much, that you should accept crumbs. That fear is a lie. You were not designed for crumbs. You were designed to steward what I give in a way that multiplies goodness beyond you. I tell you this to settle your heart, not to stir resentment. I am not collecting your pain so you can weaponize it. I am acknowledging it so it can be healed. Naming is part of healing, and after we name, we move. I am not only a comforter, I am an advocate. My favor is not a blanket that warms without changing anything. It is also a voice that speaks in places you cannot enter, a hand that arranges what you could not touch, a wisdom that intervenes without breaking truth. Even now I am correcting misfiles, highlighting what was overlooked, and sending a second glance where a first glance was careless. I am prompting fairness where habit had taken over. I am interrupting cycles that ran on their own momentum and did not notice you were a person at the end of their checklist. But first, receive this. I saw every closed door. I saw every quiet humiliation. I saw the strain and the waste and the wear. I will not minimize it. I will not tell you to get over it, as if the bruise does not exist. I touch the bruise gently, and I speak peace into the tissue memory. I bless your nervous system with rest. I bless your sleep with depth. I bless your sense of self with steadiness that does not wobble when rooms feel unfriendly. Your prayers were not ignored. They were received and recorded. This is my verdict over what tried to make you feel invisible. You are seen. You are honored. You are mine. Now lift your eyes. We are not remaining where the injury occurred. We are moving toward the tables where decisions are made, and you will not have to push your way in. My favor is already there. You will hear me in the next moments as I show you what it sounds like when I speak your name in rooms you have never entered. But for this moment, rest in the truth that you were not crazy, you were not alone, and you are not forgotten. I saw it all, and I am already turning it into testimony that will not require you to humiliate yourself for a hearing. My child, listen to me. Favor has a voice. It is not a mist that makes you feel better while nothing changes. It is not a vague warmth that comforts and leaves systems untouched. It is not manipulation, not bribery, not transactional flattery dressed up as strategy. It is not human charm that tires you out because you must keep dazzling for it to stay. It is not a bargain struck in back rooms that asks you to trade your integrity for access. It is not begging to be chosen. Not that. Not ever. Favor is my hand on your life. Favor is my name behind your name. Favor is my voice speaking truth for you where you cannot stand without bending truth, without violating love, without requiring you to become smaller or harder to be seen. I am in rooms you cannot enter, the meeting with a long table and a dry erase board filled with columns where your situation is a line that someone circles, the inbox where your message sits among many and a cursor hovers ready to archive when I nudge and the eye pauses to read, the approval chain where one sign-off begets another, and I press an uncommon urgency that breaks through a habit of delay, the back-end conversation where people try to interpret a policy against you, and I raise up a voice that says, that is not what it means, and that is not fair. The hiring discussion where resumes shuffle, and I cause yours to land in a hand that sees beyond a bullet point. The committee vote where minds were closed by rumor, and I unfasten the rumor and lay it bare as rumor, not truth. The family decision circle where a story about you has been rehearsed without you, and I stand in the center and speak your true character aloud. The place where budgets are assigned and I create room. The call where a case number is a nuisance and I place compassion in a person's chest, so your name is a name again. Arriving. Hear that again? Arriving. Not approaching like a possibility that might evaporate. Not being considered like an application teetering on the edge of indifference. Not stacked in a warehouse of maybes where dust gathers on hope. Arriving with the intentionality and the unstoppable momentum of my love to precise coordinates where outcomes are shaped. Arriving in Tuesday's agenda, not just a theory about someday. Arriving in a forwarded email that finds a person with authority on a day when their heart is tender. Arriving in a private thought that would not have come without me. Look again. Arriving in a calendar change that happens to seat the right listener at the table. It is in motion. It is real. You have wondered, what does it sound like when you speak for me? It sounds like a sentence in someone's mind that they did not rehearse. We need to slow down and be fair. It sounds like a hand stopping mid-keystroke because they sense weight where they thought there was none. It sounds like, let's check the file again. I think something is missing, and what is missing is your full story that I bring into view. It sounds like a new set of eyes brought in just to ensure compliance, and those eyes see your humanity and refuse to reduce you. It sounds like someone brave enough to ask, why are we resisting this? And the room realizing they cannot defend the resistance without exposing their bias. It sounds like a tie that is broken in your favor, not because of favoritism in the dirty sense, but because truth finally has a clear lane to run in. I turn hearts, I give wisdom, I make paths straight where crooked corridors have tried to exhaust you. I open doors that no one can shut when I have decided the season has shifted. Do not picture me wrestling people into agreement as if I must overpower them. Picture me illuminating. Picture me inviting. Picture me weighing motives so that what is petty loses its gravity and what is just gains weight. Picture me reminding someone of their own story of mercy so that they extend it instead of withholding it. Picture me aligning moments, aligning calendars, aligning words so that sincerity is heard as sincerity and not misread as demand. Picture me prompting a question that reveals the truth no one thought to ask. Picture me placing a gentle check in a leader's spirit so they cannot rest until they do what is right. This is how my favor speaks. It reaches into the complex weave of decisions, and it untangles the knot without breaking the fabric. It does not slander your adversary. It does not retaliate to win. It exposes hidden resistance, not to humiliate a person, but to remove a blockage. It accelerates what has been stalled, not by violating process, but by correcting what should never have slowed you in the first place. It protects your dignity while it moves your cause forward. My favor will not require you to fight dirty. It will not require you to plead for crumbs. What I give with intention for it to remain. I do not send you into a revolving door of almosts, so you live dizzy. I am speaking your true name in places where a false name tried to stick. Where your integrity was called stubbornness, I call it faithfulness. Where your boundaries were portrayed as arrogance, I call them wisdom. Where your courage was mislabeled as troublemaking, I call it stewardship. Where others used language to downgrade you to issue, risk, or low priority, I say child, heir, entrusted one. And when I speak, what I say does not float, it lands. It influences the sentences that are written about you. It modifies the tones in the room. It restores the color in a decision that had gone gray with indifference. Let me be concrete. I am already prompting a manager to double-check a spreadsheet that wrongly excludes you. I am alerting a reviewer to a clause that opens a path where a clerk assumed there was none. I am stirring a quiet ally who has been silent to speak now, and their one sentence will carry more than your 10 explanations. I am moving a piece of mail from the bottom of a pile to the top at a moment when attention is uncommonly available. I am sending clarity into a hazy policy meeting so that what was our usual practice becomes, we can make an exception here because the rule was never meant to punish. I am placing a holy dissatisfaction in the person who could block you so that their own conscience keeps them from doing it. I am arranging the presence of someone who will be there when you are not and will say, this person is worth more than you think. You ask, but what about the intimidation I feel when I picture that room? My child, intimidation has volume. It does not have authority. It speaks loudly in your imagination to shrink you before you even try. My covenant speaks with authority that does not shout. I will not let intimidation write the policy of your life. When I speak favor over you, I silence lies. I reframe the narrative. I surround your name with context. I send peace ahead of you like a banner, so that when you do step into a room, you recognize your own voice again instead of performing a survival script. The fear that says, if you were better connected, this would be easy, is a lie. Connection in me is not networking, it is belonging. You are not outside the family trying to be noticed. You are mine. You move as one who is sent, not as one trying to sneak in. Understand this also. My favor is not random luck. It is targeted like rain on a field I choose to make fruitful. It knows your address. It knows the docket number. It knows the software queue and the human who holds the key at 3:17 on a weekday afternoon when they are most reachable. It knows the kitchen table where family language needs to shift. It knows the elder meeting, the grant review, the underwriting desk, the boardroom, the classroom, the office with the frosted glass, the shared screen where decisions are edited in real time. It goes there, it speaks there, it arranges without lying and reverses without shaming, arriving at the right name on the CC line, arriving in the moment a supervisor chooses to read with care, arriving in the thought that dawns on a policy writer, this clause was never meant to exclude people like you. Arriving, it is in motion. It is real. So let your shoulders drop. Do not script revenge. Do not spend your nights trying to invent the perfect one-liner that will win them over. Stay honorable, stay clear, stay available. My favor does the heavy lifting you cannot do. It will overrule intimidation. It will accelerate decisions that have sat too long under inertia. It will expose the pockets of resistance that have hidden in politeness, and bring them into the light where they lose their power. And when the turning comes, you will not have to betray yourself to receive it. You will not grovel. You will not barter away your voice. You will stand as my child and say yes to what I placed in front of you. I am speaking for you where you cannot reach. I am not asking you to pretend the rooms are easy. I am telling you I am already in them. Trust me to finish what I begin. Watch for the subtle proofs that favor has a voice, a second glance that sees you, a changed tone in a reply, a meeting added to the calendar that you did not request, a fair interpretation where a strict one used to stand. These are not accidents, they are my hand. And as you notice them, let expectancy rise, not panic. You may not be in the room, but I am, and my favor is speaking your name where your voice cannot reach. My child, the fear is loud. I hear it circling, building arguments in your mind, predicting futures it does not have the authority to create. So let me answer it one by one. Your fear is not prophecy, my covenant is. Your anxiety does not rule time, my hand does. I am not threatened by what you cannot control. I am the one who keeps what belongs to you, and I am speaking for you where you cannot reach. The first fear says, you missed your window. It tells you there was a precise instant when everything would have been easy if only you had moved faster, known more, been braver. That fear is a lie. I do not build destinies on trapdoors. I do not design futures that hinge on accidents. I am not a clock that mocks you with seconds you cannot reclaim. I am a father who holds time and knows how to restore what locusts tried to consume, who knows how to redeem a path that meandered, who knows how to bring you to the exact intersection where capacity and opportunity meet. Adoption in my family is irrevocable. What I appoint does not expire because a human calendar shifted. If I wanted a window to slam and exclude you, I would not have formed you with such care for the very thing you are waiting on. I do not play games with your hope. I keep appointments, and I move them when love requires it. The second fear whispers, someone more connected will take your place. It suggests your story is a game of musical chairs and that I admire those who know how to push to the front. That fear is a lie. I do not assign by clout. I do not need social ladders to seat my children. What I have written with your name does not transfer to another because they shook more hands. I can multiply chairs. I can build new tables. I am not rationing goodness so tightly that another's blessing subtracts from yours. When I open a door for you, it is not a favor wrestled from me by a network. It is the fruit of covenant, and covenant does not bargain your identity away. You will not have to mimic someone else's tone, costume, or stride to receive what is yours. You will move as yourself, steady, clear, honorable, because I chose you specifically. The third fear crouches near shame and says, your past disqualifies you. It drags old chapters into today and paints them on your face. That fear is a lie. I saw the whole story before you lived a day of it. I do not discover your history like a surprised reviewer. I am the author who can redeem it. The bloodlines, the patterns you inherited, the choices you regret, the consequences that followed. None of these cancel adoption. I am not employing you on a probationary contract waiting to catch you in a clause. What you brought me in confession, I received. What you surrendered, I am not returning as accusation. I use even the jagged pieces turned in my hand to carve a wisdom in you that will serve others. Your past is not a permanent stamp of shame. It is material I have already been forming into testimony. I do not disqualify the repentant. I requalify and reassign with precision. The fourth fear is harsh and perfectionistic. One mistake ruined everything. It loops an error in your mind and calls it fate. That fear is a lie. I am a teacher who corrects. I am not a tyrant who discards. You are not living at the mercy of a misclick, a missed word, a meeting you did not know to ask for. Yes, choices matter. Yes, I coach you toward diligence and care. But I am not smaller than a form you misfiled or a sentence you wish you could rewrite. I turn missteps into new guidance. I open alternate routes. I make crooked paths straight. The assignment on your life is not as fragile as your anxiety claims. What I give with intention for it to remain. The fifth fear thrives in secrecy. They already said no behind the scenes. It convinces you that hidden conversations have cemented your fate, that whispers are sovereign, that a quiet verdict has locked you out. That fear is a lie. I am already in the rooms you imagine. I am overturning hasty judgments, exposing bias as bias, and opening the file again. Even if a human voice concluded no, I am not bound by it. Decisions are not God's. I am God. I can reverse, revisit, reframe. I can raise another voice. I can seat another decision maker. I can shift a heart between sunset and sunrise so that what was rigid becomes fair. There is no secret decree that outruns my favor. Now let me speak to the fear that dresses itself as responsibility, the urge to control, the nudge to send one more message, to over-explain, to defend yourself before you are accused, to chase the person who holds a key until you have exhausted your own dignity. Anxiety can imitate wisdom. It gathers data. It uses administrative words. It pretends to be stewardship, but its fruit is bondage. shallow breathing, compulsive refreshing, the inability to rest, the loss of joy in rooms that should feel safe. My child, hear me. Compulsion is not counsel. I will never require you to abandon peace to secure what I promised. Diligence is beautiful. Compulsion is expensive. Diligence moves when I say move, speaks when I say speak, sits when I say sit. Compulsion moves because silence feels unbearable and stillness feels like failure. Ask me, is this mine to do? If it is yours, I will give you words that carry weight without strain, a timing that is urgent but not frantic, an action that honors you while advancing what matters. If it is not yours, I will settle your heart and make restraint feel holy instead of weak. I do not work with accidental omissions when it comes to your destiny. You will not lose what I am giving you by obeying my pace. The door I open for you will not swing shut because you chose to breathe and trust me for an hour, a day, a week. I instruct, I nudge, I check you when your tongue is not needed. I free you from chasing shadows. Let us replace the fear scripts that have been running on repeat. I want you to rehearse truth, not panic. I want the sentences in your mouth to align with the reality I am building, not with the phantoms anxiety imagines. Say with me, even now, quietly, but with conviction, I am not forgotten, I am not stuck, I am not late, I am not powerless. God is advocating for me. Again, I am not forgotten, I am not stuck, I am not late, I am not powerless. God is advocating for me. These are not slogans, they are alignments. They anchor your inner world while I finish what you cannot see. They steady your breathing while I steady the process. They keep you from handing your imagination over to dread. I want to be clear, I am not only changing outcomes around you, I am changing your inner stance so that what I send can land and remain. I am unhooking you from the idea that vigilance equals safety. I am teaching your body the feel of peace again, the weight in your shoulders softening, the jaw unclenching, the breath dropping lower, the eyes not scanning for danger in every pause. I am shifting you from the posture of the hunted to the posture of the heir. Heirs are attentive, they are not afraid. Heirs are ready, they do not rush. Heirs receive without apology because receiving is part of their role, not a theft from someone else's portion. I am also rearranging your boundaries with fear. You will hear its knock and not open the door for it. You will feel its wave and not ride it to shore. You will notice its arguments and send them to me instead of hosting them at your table. When a delay tries to convince you it is doom, you will answer with covenant. When an oversight tempts you to panic, you will answer with belonging. When a rumor about you seeks to shrink you, you will stand in the dignity of the name I speak over you and let me speak where you cannot. I am giving you a new reflex, consulting me first, not last, asking for wisdom without apology, choosing honorable action rather than frantic reaction. This is how blessing settles and stays on a life that is not negotiating its worth every morning. So, my child, listen to me where the fear still argues. I am not late, I am not forgetful, I am not experimenting, I am precise, I am kind, I am sovereign over the rooms and the roots and the rhythms. Your fear is not prophecy, my covenant is. That covenant says you belong. It says I keep what I start. It says what I give is meant to remain. Breathe now, lift your eyes, keep your hands open, speak truth back to the night. When the urge to grasp rises, bring it to me, and let me either send you with clarity or seat you in rest. We are moving together, not in panic, but in promise. And when the confirmations appear in ordinary moments, as they already are, you will be able to recognize them without suspicion, because I am not only preparing the way, I am preparing you. My child, your waiting was not wasted. I know what the calendar says. I know what your body says after long stretches of holding your breath through outcomes that did not move. I know the sting in your chest when another week ended, without the call you hoped for, the way your mind tried to make sense of stillness as failure. Hear me. What felt like a stall was actually construction. I was building capacity in you while it looked like nothing was happening. I was pouring foundations while the surface stayed quiet. I was strengthening the walls of your inner life so that what I am bringing will not collapse them. The place you are walking out of is real. The cost has been real. Energy slowly siphoned, confidence questioned, conversations you rehearsed and then never needed, nights of mental arithmetic where you tried to budget courage as if it were a number in a spreadsheet. I will not pretend otherwise, but I will tell you what the quiet yielded, because I do not allow pain to be waste. I used the long middle to grow endurance, the holy kind that does not numb you or make you brittle, but makes you steady. Endurance that is not bravado. Endurance that allows you to remain present without panicking, to remain kind without disappearing, to remain faithful without announcing it. I grew discernment in you, not the kind that is suspicious of everybody, but the kind that can tell the difference between urgency and pressure, between a true opportunity and a shiny trap, between my nudge and the noise of other people's timelines. I grew humility without shame, the kind of humility that stands upright, that is free from performing, that can admit a need without apologizing for existing. I forged strength without hardness. You can feel it now, a spine that does not bow to flattery, a heart that does not cave to intimidation, a voice that does not need to turn up its volume to be true. This is infrastructure. The long season of difficulty was not the story, it was the architecture of the story. I poured footings under your convictions so they don't tilt under weight. I set rebar in your boundaries so they hold when love is tested. I sealed cracks where fear used to seep in whenever a door delayed. I mapped load-bearing points in your soul so that praise won't intoxicate you and criticism won't dismantle you. This is why I did not rush you. A house built without footings looks impressive for a season. Then weather comes and the frame sags. I love you too much to decorate a structure that cannot hold the life I am sending. Consider what this time produced. You learned what you will no longer tolerate. Agreements that require you to betray your peace. Partnerships that admire your gift but disrespect your person. Timelines that make you abandon your integrity for the sake of speed. Conversations where you are asked to shrink yourself to fit someone else's comfort. You learned boundaries, not as a fad or a wall, but as a way to honor what I entrusted to you. You are clearer now about what yes means when it comes from a healthy place and what no means when it is holy. You do not apologize for either. Your prayer life deepened. You do not pray to perform anymore. You pray to breathe. You learned how to meet me in the middle of a hallway with a sentence, how to place your worry in my hands before the answer arrives, how to let the groan become a word and the word become a quiet confidence. You learned to sit with me without a script, and I met you there. You stopped bargaining and started belonging. You moved from transaction to trust. That is no small thing. That is the root system that will feed you when the weather changes. And there is this quieter confidence now, the kind that does not need applause to feel real. You do not fish for validation with every act of faith. You do not measure your worth by a reply time. You do not hinge your peace on whether an algorithm, a supervisor, or a distant circle of peers recognizes you on a given day. You have become someone who can hold a good outcome with gratitude instead of desperation, who can share credit without feeling erased, who can celebrate others without fearing scarcity. Do you see it? This is maturity. This is the capacity I was building. There were rooms I kept you from. Not because I am cruel, because I am a father who sees the terms wrapped around the invitations. Some rooms would have required alliances that looked like help but were actually hooks. They would have admired your gift and then rebranded it as theirs. They would have said, "We love your voice. Say it this way," until you could not hear yourself anymore. I kept you from premature exposure, not to hide you, but to let your root system take hold so that when your branches spread, the wind would not uproot you. I shielded you from spiritual theft. Yes, I said theft. The quiet taking of your ideas, your hours, your tenderness, repackaged as another's genius while your heart ran on fumes. I would not throw you to appetites that only know how to consume. I also protected you from acquiring a taste for shortcuts. There are patterns that promise speed but demand your soul in installments. A compromise here, a flattery there, a silence where you needed to speak, a performance where you needed to rest. If I had opened certain doors too soon, the applause would have felt like oxygen and you would have started breathing it as if it were the primary air. That is a dangerous habit. I want you to breathe me. I want you to breathe peace. I want you to walk into blessing as one who is already full, not as one starving and therefore ready to eat anything placed in front of you. I was not punishing you when I said, "Not yet." I was protecting you. I was also protecting what I put in you. Some seeds need time underground, not to rot, to root. If the shoot breaks the surface too fast, the sun scorches it. If it roots deep first, that same sun becomes strength. I was rooting you, and now feel this, how different you are when interruptions come. You do not snap in panic. You can adapt without abandoning your dignity. You can pivot without calling it failure. You can be quiet without feeling erased. That is capacity. Let me name the layers I added while you waited. First, I stretched your patience so that waiting no longer equals suffering, it equals listening. Second, I thinned your appetites so that you crave what nourishes and recognize what only stimulates. Third, I deepened your empathy. Your kindness has teeth now. You can be compassionate without being consumed. Fourth, I tuned your ear. You are faster to notice my low whisper and slower to chase every loud offer. Fifth, I trained your courage to act cleanly. Your yes lands without over-explaining. Your no blesses without bitterness. These are not decorative traits. They are structural beams. Because of this, you are safer to bless. You are safer to entrust with influence, resources, decisions, relationships that require steadiness. You can carry weight without translating it into ego. You can be honored without needing to be the exception. You can be corrected without collapsing in shame. You can confront without contaminating your spirit. You can rest without calling it laziness. You can work without turning it into identity. This is what I was after all along. Not just an open door, but a soul that remains whole when you walk through it. Now hear me. Because the inner structure is stronger, my favor can move you forward without losing you in the process. I do not want to promote a version of you that disappears when pressure mounts. I want the real you I formed before this fight, the one I have been reintroducing you to step into what I have prepared. Favor is not chased. It is received, and received favor needs room to land. You have made room. The construction tarp is coming off. The scaffolding is coming down. The frame has passed inspection. Your heart is less reactive and more responsive. Your reflex is me first, not last. That is readiness. So when movement begins, and it will, you will not scramble. You will not apologize for being sent. You will not perform peace. You will carry it. Arriving, not approaching. Arriving with weight that will not crush you, with opportunities that will not own you, with conversations that do not bend you out of your shape to make space for themselves. Arriving at your home, in your work, in your relationships, with the intentionality and unstoppable momentum of my love. to a life that can hold it without cracking. Breathe, beloved. Call the season what it was. Construction, not punishment. Formation, not failure. Infrastructure, not irrelevance. Thank me for the unseen work. Bless the rooms I kept you from, as well as the rooms I am leading you into. Keep your hands open. Keep your posture as an heir. We are moving now, not rushed, not delayed, precisely timed. What I give with intention for it to remain. And it will remain, because I have been building you to remain. My child, now that your inner life has been strengthened and your reflex has become me first, I want to teach you the specific postures that make room for what I am sending to land and remain. Favor is not chased, it is received. I want you standing in the right posture when what is coming actually arrives, so that you do not scramble, so that you do not perform peace but carry it, so that opportunities do not own you and conversations do not bend you out of your shape to make space for themselves. These postures are not theatrics. They are how a life opens its hands and keeps them open. I will be as concrete as I can be. First posture, release frantic proving. Stop auditioning for people who are not your source. Choose quiet obedience over loud self-defense. I know the muscle memory that wants to explain yourself before you are accused, to rehearse speeches in the shower, to craft long paragraphs that try to preempt misunderstandings and secure your place. I am not asking you to be passive. I am asking you to be precise. There is a difference. Frantic proving is noise. Quiet obedience is weight. When you sense the urge rising to send the extra message at 11:42 p.m. because silence feels like rejection, breathe and ask me, is this mine to do? If I say no, honor that no. It is holy. If I say yes, I will give you words that are clear, brief, honorable, truth without pleading. You do not have to purchase favor with overexposure. Let me give you concrete obedience here. One email you will not send out of anxiety. The late-night follow-up that repeats everything you already said, sprinkled with apologies you do not owe. Delete it. Sleep. If there is a necessary follow-up, send it when your spirit is calm, with 2 or 3 sentences that carry peace instead of panic. One conversation you will have with peace. The coffee meeting where you will not sell yourself like a product. You will show up as the real you. Ask one discerning question, listen, and leave without performing. Your presence is not an audition, it is an assignment. One boundary you will keep. You will not agree to timelines or terms that violate what I have taught you in the secret place, even if the room is impressed with you. And one act of integrity when no one is watching. You will give credit accurately in a document, correct an overlooked number on an invoice that would have benefited you, or return a message you promised to return, even if they may not notice. These are not small. These choices train your soul to trust me for vindication and provision, not to bend under the pressure to manufacture them. Second posture, pray targeted, not panicked. I want your prayers to name where you need me to speak, not swirl in general fear. Every day bring me the exact door, the exact person, the exact decision, and ask me to speak beyond your access. Not a speech, not an essay, a living request with clarity and faith. Do this in the kitchen before the day starts, or in your car in the parking lot, or at your desk with your hands open. Say, Father, I bring you the decision on this file. I bring you the room at 3 p.m. I bring you the person who will read my name. Speak my name where I cannot. Tilt the scale toward fairness. Close what is wrong. Open what is right. Prepare me for my part. Amen. Short, clear, aligned. I count those prayers. I honor those prayers. I receive those prayers. Write the names down. I want you to have a list, on paper, not just in your head, of the places you are asking me to speak. the hiring manager you will likely never meet personally, the committee that sits 2 floors above what you can reach, the neighbor you sense I am nudging you to reconcile with, the client review that has stalled, the classroom placement that will shape your child's coming year, the judge's clerk who arranges the docket, the landlord who decides whether grace or penalty will govern. Bring each one to me daily for this next stretch, 30 seconds. 1 minute, not panicked, targeted. You do not need to shout to be heard. Whispered faith carries further than shouted fear. Targeted prayer is not an attempt to puppeteer outcomes. It is your consent to let me be God in the spaces you cannot enter. It is also your request for alignment. When you pray this way, you are not only asking for doors to open, you are asking me to check your motives, to settle your body, to adjust your timing. You are inviting me to tell you when to speak one sentence and when to be silent, when to send one page and when to send none. You will feel my answers in the way your heart settles, in the way urgency becomes clarity instead of pressure, in the way you can do the next right thing without calculating 10 steps beyond what I have said. Third posture, refuse bitterness. Bitterness masquerades as protection. It says, if I harden, I will not be hurt again. It promises you an armor that is really a lock on your own door. Bitterness blocks receiving. It dresses itself as wisdom, but its fruit is constriction. Tight shoulders, a narrowed field of vision, a mouth that tastes salt when a blessing arrives because your tongue expected pain. My child, I saw every closed door and every quiet humiliation. I am not asking you to call harm good. I am asking you to choose forgiveness as spiritual clearance, so what I am sending does not have to fight your barricades to enter. Forgiveness is not denial of harm. It is not erasing memory. It is not placing yourself back under mistreatment. Forgiveness is you taking the weight of judgment out of your hands and placing it back in mine where it belongs. It is you refusing to water resentment with your attention. It is you laying down the rehearsal of their words so that I can put new ones in your mouth. Here is how you will practice it. Take one name, yes, the one that surfaced just now, and say, I release you to God. I cancel my claim to vengeance. I choose clean hands. Bless you and bless me. God, handle this with justice and mercy. Then keep your boundary. Keep it clean. You can forgive and still decline the meeting, still refuse the terms, still say, I will not be spoken to that way, and end the call. Forgiveness is not entering the old maze. It is refusing to walk it again. Add one act of integrity when no one is watching to this posture as well, because bitterness often tempts people to cut corners as payback to a world they believe owes them. You will not do that. You will be a person whose private math matches their public confession. You will round fairly. You will disclose truthfully. You will finish the task you promised when the room is empty, and in doing so, you will unclog the channel through which favor flows. I am not looking for perfection. I am training your reflex to choose clean over clever, honor over advantage, trust over cynicism. I will meet you there. Fourth posture, practice expectancy with restraint. Expectancy prepares. Obsession performs. I want you to be practically ready without spiritually frantic. This looks like documents gathered and reviewed without checking your phone every 5 minutes. It looks like a resume or portfolio updated and saved in a folder labeled ready, not revisited at 2 a.m. because dread won't let you sleep. It looks like setting aside the outfit for the meeting and then resting, not pacing. It looks like making sure the numbers are accurate, the references reachable, the logistics sane, and then releasing the outcome to me. Open your hands, literally. Feel your fingers not curled around control. Say, I expect good from a good father. I refuse to micromanage what I've placed in your hands. Expectancy means you do the part that is yours. You practice the presentation once, not 17 times. You read the contract and ask wise questions. but you do not become your own adversary by imagining a fight that has not happened. You put fuel in your car, you charge your device, you answer emails within appropriate time frames without apologizing for existing. You pay attention to small nudges, print the document you might need, set the reminder, write the thank you note. Then you go for a walk, you cook dinner, you laugh in your kitchen, you order your home so that peace meets you when you return. That is restraint, that is power. Let me give you concrete obedience here, too. One boundary you will keep in expectancy. When the thought comes to refresh the portal or your inbox every few minutes, just in case, you will set 2 times in the day to check and hand the space between to me. One conversation you will have with peace. You will call the person you have been delaying out of dread and speak with honor and clarity, neither stalling nor softening necessary truth. And you will end the call blessing them rather than picking at the scab after. One email you will not send, the speculative pitch that is more about proving you exist than about stewarding an actual opportunity. Instead, you will ask me for the name and the moment, and you will wait until you sense the weight of my yes. One act of integrity when no one is watching. When you are preparing your materials, you will not pad numbers, you will not inflate titles, you will not claim what belongs to a team as if it were yours alone. You will trust me to lift you without distortion. Do you feel the difference? These postures widen the landing strip. They thicken the soil. They teach your nervous system the feel of peace, so that favor does not have to fight your body to settle. This is how what I send remains. On a life that is not bargaining its worth, not auditioning for attention, not building walls of bitterness, not burning hours in obsession. You are not the worn-down you arguing for air. You are the real you I formed before this fight, an heir learning how to receive. Start today. Choose the one email you will not send. Choose the one conversation you will have with peace. Name the boundary you will keep. Choose the one act of integrity you will do when no one is watching. Then pray targeted and brief over the specific rooms and names that matter this week, and leave them with me. I am already speaking for you where you cannot reach. You will not have to beg for what I have assigned to you. You will not have to defend what I am about to confirm. Keep your hands open. Keep your posture as an heir. We are moving now, steady, precise, protected. What I give with intention for it to remain. And it will remain, because I have been building you to remain. My child, as you keep your hands open and your posture as an heir, I want to teach you how to recognize me in motion before the announcement arrives. Before the door swings wide, I often send fingerprints, small shifts that prove I am already speaking for you, not fireworks, not a headline with your name in lights. Gentle confirmations that the atmosphere is changing, that favor is speaking in rooms and through systems you cannot reach, that pressure is releasing its grip and movement is beginning. Watch for quiet acceleration. It will not always look like a trumpet blast. It will feel like the sand beneath your feet turning to solid ground. The email you sent that had sat for weeks without acknowledgement suddenly receives a simple professional response. Let's review this. The call you expected to push another month is returned that afternoon. A policy that had felt absolute is granted an exception with language you did not script. A person who had been distant or curt speaks your name kindly or says, "I see what you were aiming for. Let's adjust." The backlog on a file shrinks without your pleading. Timelines that used to expand contract to a livable pace. Arriving, not approaching. Arriving as small shifts that carry weight. Arriving in the tone of a voice that used to press you down, now softening. Arriving in a calendar that used to crowd you, now opening a window exactly where you need it. You will sense it in your body too. The dread that used to ride in your chest when you open your inbox is replaced by a surprising steadiness. The impulse to over-explain quiets. You sleep through the night without rehearsing speeches. You wake without the clench. There will be a morning that feels unremarkable to everyone else, and yet you realize halfway through your coffee that peace is sitting where panic used to sit. This is not your avoidance finally working. This is my nearness adjusting your nervous system to recognize safety. The peace that has no visible reason to be so steady, that peace is a fingerprint. Receive it without suspicion. Watch for new allies, the ones you did not network your way toward. A colleague introduces you in a meeting not as a problem solver. They can squeeze, but as a person whose judgment they trust. A neighbor mentions your name to someone who can open space. A gatekeeper who used to redirect you becomes a guide who says, "I'll walk this through." A person you respected from a distance moves closer, not with flattery, but with quiet advocacy. This belongs on the table. You did not audition for them. You did not buy this favor with exhaustion. I positioned them. Do not turn these allies into saviors. Honor them, thank them, but recognize that their hands are being guided by mine on your behalf. Watch for clarity where there has been static. Not every confirmation is external. Sometimes it is the inner fog lifting. There will be an afternoon where a task that felt like climbing a mountain suddenly slides into focus. You complete in 2 hours what you could not force in 2 weeks. There will be a sentence that forms inside you that carries unusual weight, clean, brief, ready. There will be a question you kept postponing that now meets a definite answer. Yes, move. No, release. Wait, but in peace. Clarity is not aggression. It is a quiet knowing without the adrenaline. When it comes, do the next right thing without turning it into a performance. I also want to warn you away from counterfeits. Anxiety will try to recruit you into sign hunting. It will tell you that if you miss one micro signal, you will miss your destiny. That fear is a lie. I do not make your future that fragile. I am a father, not a trickster. Do not interrogate every coincidence as if I am hiding in riddles, and do not turn every delay into a prophecy of rejection. A delay can be a protection, a redirection, or simply the natural movement of a process that is no longer clogged. Do not make the clock your tyrant. I am not late, I am precise. And hear me, comparison will try to steal your discernment. You will be tempted to measure my fingerprints on your life by someone else's timeline, by their announcement, by their photo and caption. Refuse it. Their chapter is not your chapter. When you compare, you blind yourself to your own pages. Instead, practice remembrance. I want you to document my fingerprints so that in the days when fear attempts to swirl you back into old spirals, you have a record that argues for peace. Start a small ledger, paper, not only a screen. Title it Fingerprints. Keep it where your eyes regularly fall, by the kettle, on your desk, in your bag. Each time you notice a shift, write the date and 1 or 2 sentences. They moved the interview up. The team member apologized without prompting. The quote came in lower than expected. Slept 7 hours. No clenched jaw. Do not dramatize. Do not preach to the page. Just record. This is not a journal of perfection. It is a witness list. Stones of remembrance laid one by one that say, "Here God met me. Here God moved." When discouragement tries to argue, you will have evidence with actual dates and actual movements, not vague impressions that evaporate under pressure. Here is how to practice this so it forms a rhythm instead of a burden. First, notice without grasping. When a small shift happens, whisper, "Thank you," and breathe. Do not try to wring it for more. Let it be what it is. Second, record without dramatizing. 1 or 2 lines with a date, concrete. Third, give thanks quickly. Gratitude is not currency to purchase more. It is agreement with reality. It keeps your eyes open to the next fingerprint. Fourth, share selectively. Tell one trusted friend or mentor who knows how to protect your faith rather than stoke your anxiety. not a broadcast designed to harvest validation, a quiet report that strengthens both of you. Fifth, keep working faithfully at the scale of obedience you have. Do not stop preparing because you saw one good sign. Do not sprint because you are excited. Stay steady. Favor is not chased, it is received and then stewarded. You may also feel confirmation through a reversal of intimidation's power over you. The room that once felt too large feels appropriately sized. The person whose name used to make your heart race becomes simply a person. The building you walk into no longer carries the weight of your belonging. You bring your belonging in with you. This, too, is a fingerprint. My favor does not only open a door, it changes the weather inside the space so that what used to shrink you now fits you. You will notice this when you speak without rushing, when you decline a term that is not right for you without apologizing, when you ask a clarifying question and the room adjusts rather than punishes. The atmosphere is tilting. I am breathing on it. Perhaps you will see it on a day that looks ordinary to everyone else. A Tuesday, a hallway, someone says, "We moved your file up." Someone else says, "We'd like your input." The payment that languished posts. The child you have been praying for laughs freely at dinner. The repair that kept breaking holds. The neighbor who would not make eye contact waves. These are not small to me. They are the first drops before the rain, arriving in ordinary moments, arriving through unremarkable channels, arriving quietly enough that you need discernment to recognize them so that your confidence stands on me, not on spectacle. Do not despise the quiet, because it is in the quiet that your trust strengthens. You are not swinging at shadows anymore. You are learning what peace feels like, and you are consenting to let me carry the parts of the story you cannot reach. This is how intimidation loses its power, by repeated exposure to my fingerprints until your reflex is agreement instead of alarm. With each small confirmation, I am rewiring your expectation. You are moving from bracing for loss to preparing for goodness. That shift is not hype. That shift is holiness, a renewal of your mind that aligns your nervous system with my covenant. I will not confuse you. If you ask me for bread, I will not put a stone in your hand and ask you to pretend. If something looks like a door but requires you to betray what I built in you during the waiting, it is not a door from me. If something looks small but carries the signature of peace, it may be the hinge that turns the larger gate. Trust me to differentiate. Bring me the options. Ask me for wisdom. I give generously and without shaming you for needing it. So watch, beloved. Slow your pace so you can see subtlety. Keep your list. Bless the small without worshiping it. Refuse the counterfeit urgency that tries to make you live by signals rather than by my spirit. And as you notice the fingerprints, let them do their work in you. Let them heal the suspicion, lower the shoulders, steady the breathing, and draw your eyes up. We are not at a standstill. We are moving now, quietly at first, then clearly. Not by begging, not by performing, by favor that speaks where you cannot. The atmosphere is changing around you. Intimidation is losing its power. You will find yourself standing where you once feared to stand, speaking with a voice that sounds like you, at peace. This is not imagination. It is arrival in progress. Keep your hands open. Keep your posture as an heir. Before the door swings wide, and it will, you will already know I am there because my fingerprints will be all over the path that led you in. My child, now that you have learned to read the quiet, I am moving you into the loud. The door that creaked is about to swing. The not at this time is about to revise itself. The weight that used to lean against you is about to lean for you. Hear me. I am turning no into yes without you begging. What once required pressure will now require peace. What once demanded chasing will come through alignment. This is not a trick of timing. This is my favor speaking your name. in places you could not enter and rerouting what resisted you into what releases you. I am speaking to the silent opposition you could not locate, to the small rooms where decisions were made without you, to the side conversations that never reached your ears. I am walking into them. I am placing light where motives hid. I am removing the chair from under the person who made themselves your gate, not by spectacle, by precision. I will expose what needs exposure, not to humiliate, but to end its power. I will relocate a blocker without your petition. I will bring a conflict of interest to the surface so they must recuse. I will give a decision maker a new lens so they recognize what they once dismissed. I will cause a policy to be read differently, with fairness applied instead of rigidity weaponized. I will reverse no without requiring you to perform sorrow on the floor. You have felt the sting of closed doors. Now watch as doors open that no one will be able to shut. Watch as a call arrives with language you did not script. We reviewed this again. We would like to move forward. There has been a change. Watch as a document is corrected in your favor, as a number you carried alone is adjusted right, as a calendar opens a precise space that previously felt impossible. Watch as a supervisor who was cool becomes collaborative, as a board that did not have room suddenly does, as a judge's schedule that was stacked somehow rearranges, so your case is heard at the right moment by the right ear, arriving in memos, arriving in signatures, arriving in conversations you did not attend, but I did, arriving. I am also ordering vindication without your striving. You do not have to craft a speech that burns the room to the ground to get your name cleared. I will write the sentence into the atmosphere. They were right to do what they did. Their integrity has been consistent. I will set a table for you in the presence of those who did not expect to see you served. You will not starve in the hallway while others eat. You will be seated and the meal will be peace. You will taste peace in the mouth that once tasted salt. You will be honored without becoming loud. You will be lifted without having to trample. Lifted by a hand scarred with love, not stained with struggle. Do not misunderstand what I am doing. This reversal is not only about relief. Relief matters to me, but I am after more. I am establishing testimony in you, stability under you, and courage ahead of you. Testimony because you will be able to say, with specificity, not in abstraction, that I am a father who advocates beyond your reach. Stability because your identity will no longer sway with other people's timing. You will know who you are when rooms say yes and when rooms hesitate. Courage, because the next time a gate creaks or a person postures, you will remember this moment and your peace will answer faster than your panic. I am not simply opening this door. I am teaching your heart and your nervous system to live as an heir who expects me to act. And yet, hear me carefully. As yes arrives, stay low. Remain gentle. Remain grateful. Remain obedient. Do not become what hurt you. Do not use the newfound seat to practice the old spirit that tried to keep you out. Refuse the temptation to gloat, to post vindication as entertainment, to rehearse offenses as a victory lap. That is not your crown. Your crown is clean hands. Your language will be simple. Thank you, Father. We will steward this. How do you want this used? When favor speaks, do not raise your voice to compete with it. Let favor speak. You speak kindness. You speak truth. You speak the one sentence that carries weight, and then you go home in peace. Here is what reversal will look like up close. An email stamped declined becomes reconsidered, approved. A gatekeeper who used to say, I can't promise anything, now says, I will walk this across myself. A process that legally could not move until next quarter finds a clause that allows immediate release. A lender who held you at arm's length sees a new number adjusted in your favor. A teacher who seemed unable to see your child's brilliance suddenly recognizes a strategy that fits them. A small phrase enters the room. We missed something. And the room shifts. Not because you forced it, because I breathed on it. To the fear that whispers, if it turns, it will be snatched back, I say, that fear is a lie. I do not bait with yes and switch to no to keep you small. What I open, I intend to keep open for its purpose. Do not rush to clutch at it like a found coin. Receive it like an inheritance document with your name on it. Let it settle. Let it become normal to you to walk through a door I opened, to sit at a table I set, to carry permission you did not have to steal. And to the fear that says, backlash is coming, I say, that fear is a lie when it rules you. Opposition may growl, it will not govern. I am your shield around you, the one who lifts your head. As yes unfolds, you will keep the postures we have practiced. You will answer with clarity, not with eagerness that sells your peace for access. You will sign with integrity, not with language that locks you into slavery disguised as opportunity. You will give credit where credit is due, share the spotlight rather than hoard it, bless allies without idolizing them. You will pay your debts as soon as you can, even the small ones you could hide. You will write the thank you note. You will leave the space as orderly as you found it. You will tell the truth about the process, not the drama, the faithfulness. God favored me beyond my reach. Leave it there. Let the weight rest where it belongs. And for those who stood against you, bless and release. Keep your boundary. Do not invite harm back to your table, but release the hunger to make them watch you eat. I will handle the watching. I will handle the learning. Your job is to eat in peace, to feed those I ask you to feed, to use what is given to build, to open a door for someone I send you who is where you were. This is how we end cycles rather than reproduce them. This is how we show that favor from me does not create a new oppressor. It creates a new kind of servant leader whose authority is washed in mercy and anchored in truth. I want you to prepare for this practically so you are not startled by goodness. Keep your documents ready. Keep your heart unbothered. Keep your schedule with margins so when the call comes, you are not sprinting but stepping. Expect yes without trying to pry it from human hands. Expect yes as a byproduct of alignment, the steady yes that comes when your feet are under you, your spirit is quiet, and your obedience is current. The yes that matches who you are becoming, not the old urgency that tried to buy belonging. You will see words like these. We've made room. Effective immediately. We reviewed and reversed. Approved with thanks. They will arrive on ordinary days and land like mercy on your chest, arriving at your home, arriving in your work, arriving in your relationships, arriving in the atmosphere so the room fits you. When it lands, do this. Pause and breathe. Say, thank you. Ask me, what is my next right step? And then take only that step. Send the simple reply. Make the one call. Print the one page. Do not announce beyond what I release you to announce. Guard wonder. Let gratitude be the fragrance, not the performance. Faithful one, I have been walking you to this with intentionality and unstoppable momentum, not skipping the cost, not ignoring the quiet humiliations, forming you so that what lands remains. The reversal you could not engineer is in motion. It is not approaching, it is arriving. It has never lost track of your address. Not by begging, not by performing, by favor that speaks where you cannot. I am turning resistance into release. And when you walk through the open door, you will recognize that the greatest miracle is not only the yes in the room, but the peace in you. Carry it. Steward it. Stay close to me. What I give with intention for it to remain. And it will remain. Father, we come close. We bring our whole selves, the part that believes, the part that trembles, the part that has been patient, and the part that is tired of being patient. We lay our hands, figuratively and truly, on the places that have carried tension for too long. We release control. We release the timelines we tried to enforce. We release the need to be understood by everyone. We release the fear of being overlooked, mislabeled, or pushed past. Father, take the weight from our chest. Calm our bodies, steady our minds. Slow the racing calculations, quiet the hypotheticals. Let your nearness be felt as warmth in the shoulders, as breath that reaches the bottom of the lungs, as a steadying that does not depend on the next email or the next call. Seal us in peace, not the performance of peace, the presence of peace. We surrender the rooms we cannot enter. We surrender the tables where our name is not yet known. We surrender the systems that have felt closed, the files that have felt buried, the conversations we could not attend. We say, Father, you are Lord of the seen and the unseen, of doors and hallways, of policies and people, of hearts and calendars. Go where we cannot go, speak where we cannot speak. Place our name with honor where our voice has not reached. Let favor that is not for sale, not for show, not fragile, carry our assignment forward. We pray specifically now for the unseen rooms. Raise advocates. Quietly, precisely, faithfully, bring forward the one who says, I will walk this across. Soften hearts that have become rigid. Replace suspicion with fairness. Turn a second look into a green light. Expedite approvals without error. Cause the right clause to surface. Highlight the line that was misread. Overturn false reports and vague insinuations. Let truth be documented cleanly. Reward integrity that has cost us. The quiet no we held to when compromise would have been easier. Where our name has been reduced to a rumor, rewrite it with clarity and kindness. Where decisions were made in shadows, bring your light, not to humiliate, but to end the power of what hides. If a conflict of interest is blocking justice, surface it so it must recuse. If a policy has been used as a wall, give it back its true purpose as a guardrail that still allows right movement. Arriving in memos, arriving in signatures, arriving in calendars that open, arriving in voices that once resisted but now assist. Father, we ask for protection. Put a hedge around this process, seen and unseen. Guard us from sabotage, whether it comes as overt aggression or as a subtle delay designed to drain courage. Guard our equipment, our data, our deadlines, our communications. Keep them from error and from tampering. Shield us from confusion. Let our minds be clear and our steps simple. Silence retaliation designed to make us fearful for daring to hope. Make threats toothless and accusations evaporate in the light of truth. And protect us from self-sabotage, from impatience that emails too much, from eagerness that signs away freedom, from the old reflex to over-explain, to underprice ourselves, to apologize for breathing. Give us the grace to wait wisely, to answer briefly, to act cleanly. Grant wisdom that is specific, discernment that is gentle and decisive. Let us know the difference between a door and a decoy, a test and a trap, a pressure and a prompting. Father, seal our identity, not the worn-down version, not the one shaped by sharp seasons, but the real us you formed before this fight. Call our name with authority inside our own chest. Let us recognize ourselves again, beloved, chosen, protected, resourced. Let our belonging lead us into rooms rather than rooms dictating our belonging. Train our nervous system to expect goodness without suspicion, to receive movement without bracing for backlash. When fear tries to narrate the future, interrupt it with covenant. When shame tries to shrink our presence, answer it with adoption. We agree. That fear is a lie. We agree. You are not late. You are precise. We agree. What you give with intention for it to remain. Now, Father, we ask you to commission us into simple obedience. One step of peace today. Show us the next right thing and make it obvious. One prayer daily. Keep our channel unclogged. Even one sentence that says, "Lead me, Father." One refusal to spiral. When the swirl begins, let us stop, breathe, and return to what is true. One act of integrity, seen by heaven even if unseen by people. One moment of gratitude, no performance, just an honest thank you that keeps our eyes open. Sanctify our routine so that it carries your weight. Turn ordinary tasks into altars where we offer trust instead of toil. We ask for blessing over our allies. Give them courage to speak when silence would be easier. Give them favor with their own gatekeepers. Protect them from backlash as they advocate rightly. And for those who opposed us, we release them. We bless them from a safe distance and refuse to repay harm with harm. Keep our hands clean. Keep our tone gentle. Keep our boundaries steady. We will not become what hurt us. Seal this, Father. Seal this under your name, not under our effort. Let the arrival continue. Let the path be lined with fingerprints we can recognize. Simple corrections in our favor. Timely calls, softened tones. Hours of untroubled sleep. Let the yes be steady. Let the peace be deeper than explanation. Let the testimony be specific and unexaggerated, so that others hungry for hope can eat from our plate and be strengthened. My child, receive this now. I am speaking for you where you cannot reach. I am standing in the places you fear are out of range. My favor is already at work. Breathe. Put your shoulders down. Walk in obedience, not in alarm. When you do not know the plan, do the next right step I place in front of you. When you are tempted to announce, pause and ask me. When anxiety rises, remember, I am precise, I am present, I am for you. Watch my favor finish what you cannot finish. Watch me turn resistance into release, delays into movement, opposition into reversal, and panic into settled peace. Arriving. It is in motion. It is real. In Jesus' name we pray this and receive it. Amen. Beloved, stay in faith. Keep the one-step rhythm. Keep your daily prayer. Refuse the spiral kindly and firmly. Practice the small integrity that builds large capacity. Whisper gratitude often. If this word steadied you, share it with someone who is facing intimidation or delay. Place courage in their hands the way it was placed in yours, and remain connected for continued encouragement. Come back, listen again when fear gets loud. Let your expectation be retrained in community. We will walk this out together. Peace to your mind, strength to your body, order to your steps. What he gives, he intends to remain, and it will remain.